Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liberty Bites on the Think Liberty Network. This is Matt McGowan sitting in for William Gadsden. Over the past several months, I've done a series of podcasts reviewing the various candidates for the Libertarian nomination for president. I have made the case for Kim Ruff and John Phillips as candidates. I have made the case for Vermin Supreme. I have made a case against Justin Amash, and I have made a case for selecting none of the above. Today, I'd like to review the candidacy of one of the very first people to declare they were seeking the Libertarian nomination in 2020, and that's Adam Kokesh. Now, folks who know me well know that I credit Ron Paul as the person most directly responsible for my conversion to libertarianism. But if it was Ron Paul who got me there, it was Adam Kokesh who first got me looking in that direction. Now, for those who aren't familiar with his backstory, Kokesh is a former Marine sergeant who served in the Iraq War, who, upon his return, became a pretty prominent anti-war activist. He was best known for his activism with a group called Iraq Veterans Against the War, a group that, as a veteran myself, had a very profound influence on helping my own views evolve from someone who supported the Iraq War to someone who opposed it, a necessary first step towards the Libertarian Party. Over the years, Kokesh has remained a hardcore activist on behalf of libertarian causes. He's been arrested multiple times, demonstrating against any number of government violations of our civil rights, more often than not, landing in jail himself for his troubles. In January of 2018, he announced plans to seek the Libertarian nomination to run for President of the United States in 2020 on the platform of an orderly dissolution of the federal government. His plan is to, upon his inauguration, sign his one and only executive order declaring the federal government bankrupt and of no authority. He will then resign as president and assume the mantle of custodian of the federal government, in which he'll oversee the complete dismantling of every federal agency by either liquidation, localization to the state level, or privatization over the next 4 years. Earlier this year, I had the opportunity to listen to him make his case in person at the Ohio Libertarian Conference in Toledo. One of the things that impressed me most about him was his ability not only to articulate a libertarian message, but to tie it in to the major themes of his campaign and do so in a way that I think could resonate with the average voter. I mean, let's face it, the overwhelming majority of Americans have an unfavorable opinion of the federal government, and that's putting it mildly. So a candidate promising to dismantle it on day one is certainly going to catch a lot of folks' attention. Not that catching folks' attention has ever been a problem for Kokesh, whose ability to earn media is probably second only to Vermin Supreme's out of the declared candidates. A skill that will be extremely important with the budget constraints traditionally associated with libertarian presidential campaigns. Kokesh is a tireless campaigner who, while he will certainly be in it to win it, also seems to understand what the larger goal for our candidates should always be. He spells this out on his website, kokeshforpresident.com, where he says, "More important than the politics of this campaign is the education about the nature of government and how we can apply it to live more free now. This campaign is about encouraging people to minimize the role of government in their lives and their role in empowering government." And that's a message that any libertarian should be able to get behind. And quite frankly, a message we should be pushing to an electorate who, for the last 4 years, has largely come to confuse libertarian philosophy with that of milquetoast Republicans like Bill Weld. As I've mentioned in previous episodes of this podcast, The Libertarian Party needs to become a little more radical and bold in its messaging if it wants to compete in the modern political arena. And there are few candidates more radical and bold than Adam Kokesh. Is he the perfect candidate? Who is? Can he articulate our message to the masses and help grow our movement? Absolutely. And at this point in our party's history, that's the single most important attribute a candidate can have. I've made no secret of my support for Vermin Supreme, but Adam checks a lot of the same boxes for me. He would be an excellent candidate to receive the Libertarian nomination to run for president in 2020. In fact, when it comes to principled radical libertarians, the field in Austin next May is far from the weak field some libertarians are saying it is. If anything, especially when compared to our most recent presidential candidates, it's an embarrassment of riches. This is Matt McGowan for Liberty Bites on the Think Liberty Network. Thanks for listening.